We're also covering this stunning announcement, though, today from Washington that U.S. President Donald Trump and his wife Melania have tested positive, yes, for COVID-19, both now isolating. The White House chief of staff says the president is experiencing, quote, mild symptoms. Listen to this.
He continues to be not only in good spirits, but very energetic. We've talked a number of times this morning.
The announcement comes just days after a packed rally that was held in Minnesota and a fundraiser held last night. The White House top aide, Hope Hicks, who had traveled with President Trump throughout the week, tested positive yesterday. Vice President Mike Pence and his wife testing negative for the virus this morning, of course, after that debate that happened on Tuesday night. And Joe Biden saying this, happy to report we have tested negative. Thank you for your support and your concern. This serves as a reminder to wear a mask, keep social distance, and wash your hands. All right, well, let's bring in CTV's Tom Walters, who's standing by in Los Angeles with more on this. So good news, of course, for Joe Biden and his wife Jill testing negative, Tom, but I'm curious about the implications now of the president and his wife testing positive.
Well, of course, the first and foremost concern now is simply the health and well-being of the president and first lady. Beyond that, the political implications could hardly be worse. This is a president whose handling of the coronavirus is a major liability to him in this election campaign. It's the issue he doesn't especially want to be focused on, and suddenly it's been thrust into the campaign in a way that is profound. I mean, the White House has just announced that further campaign events are either on hold or are going to be done in a virtual way. So front and center now in the campaign is the coronavirus. It's just been a couple of days since the president and Joe Biden were on a debate stage together. Obviously, testing remains a critical piece of this and will have to be a critical piece day after day from here on. But certainly in political terms, the White House has now become a hotspot for the virus the president doesn't really want to have to talk about.
Yeah, let me ask you if we can just go back and explain to us, Tom, how this kind of all unfolded. You know, Hope Hicks, a woman that was, pretty crucial for Donald Trump's first election campaign and a close advisor. Then she left the White House. Then she came back. Now she has tested positive. And, all the people she's recently traveled with, I mean, the list is quite long. Can you tell us sort of the sequence of events?
Yeah, that's really where the dominoes started to fall on this yesterday, Todd, because Hope Hicks tested positive. That information was provided to the president before he left for his fundraiser in New Jersey, and that's raising some questions of judgment in and of itself, because certainly medical advice would be that if you understand that you have been in close proximity to someone who's infected, there is then an obligation to quarantine. Now, with confirmation that the president not only has the virus, is positive for it, but is sick with it, is having some mild symptoms so far, and mercifully mild so far, he is in isolation along with the First Lady. But the decisions that led up to traveling yesterday are going to be under scrutiny, as are the decisions that the White House has made throughout, and that the president has made in downplaying the virus, in mocking his arrival for wearing a mask. There's a real sense here that some of this, that potentially the infection of the president of the United States is something that should have been avoided at all costs in the midst of a pandemic.
We're just going to show some of the schedule for this week, Tom, of where President Trump was, what he was up to this week from Monday, and, some of the events on the South Lawn, and how it played out on Tuesday with the debate. And then, as you say, traveling to Ohio, and then Wednesday to Minnesota. And we'll get to today and what's going on. She tests positive for the coronavirus. You talked about New Jersey. And, of course, now we know the president has tested positive as well. What about the chain of command here? And I'm just curious, if the president is incapacitated in any way, shape, or form, I mean, the man is, a high-risk category demographic-wise. What happens?
Well, he is in a high-risk category. I mean, the odds are still in his favor, and we should point that out. But he does have some serious, comorbidity factors. If the president is unable to carry out his duties, then, of course, the natural step in the chain of succession is that the vice president takes over. And so far, in spite of the close proximity of the key White House team, so far Mike Pence has tested negative for the virus. Should Mike Pence also be in some way incapacitated by this virus, then the next in line constitutionally to the office of president is Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House. And, you know, one hardly has to, guess at what a bizarre turn of events it would be should Nancy Pelosi find herself in the presidency days before an election.
So many questions, Tom. I really appreciate you taking the time for us here, as always. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Todd.
Tom Walters in Los Angeles. Okay, we want to show you